everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. I'm going to show you how to make this pretty straightforward pillow, except that on this pillow I've got ready-made fringe and I also have piping on here. You can make it with or without the piping and the fringe. I originally wanted to put the fringe also in here, but I didn't have enough of it. When you go to look for fringe, if you go to Joann's, it's very expensive. Make sure you have a 50% off coupon. Also, check out Etsy.com. They have pretty good prices on their fringe. You really got to check around. And colors at Joann's are very limited, so that's why I don't recommend going there to get it. And if you want to know how to make piping, I have a separate tutorial on how to make your piping. All right, let's get started. Here is a sample of piping that I made for another project. And it's not difficult to make at all. All you need is a very narrow zipper foot, or if you have a piping or cording foot. If you're interested in making your own custom piping, I have a separate tutorial you can watch that goes into great detail. If you don't want to make the piping, you can buy piping, but the problem is it doesn't come in a lot of colors. You'd probably have to go out on the internet and see if you can find colors that you like. Here is a sample of fringe that I'm using. You can buy the fringe at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. They don't offer a lot of colors, and also it's very, very expensive. So I recommend you go out on the internet and do a search. Go to maybe Etsy.com. They sell a lot of fringe on that website. So I've taken my piping, I've made my own, and I put the raw edge of the piping on the raw edge of the center piece section. And I have it on both sides of that center piece of fabric. So stitch that on first and just use a basting stitch. Take the two smaller pieces for the front and bring them on top, and you're going to, here's where the piping is here, and you're going to place this on top on the raw edge and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam. I would still use your small zipper foot so that you could get in there nice and close, and you do that on both sides. So when you're done, you have your piping on the center there. Here's the fringe, and I have a little 1/4 inch band right here where all the little yarn pieces are holding together. Now, fringe like this twists, and it's kind of hard to put on. So when you're putting it on, this is just a sample of fabric, you want to make sure it's untwisted. And I stitched a little bit on and untwisted and then stitched it on, because it was just too hard to try to pin it all on ahead of time. So as again, you put it up against the raw edge, and if you have a narrow zipper foot or a 1/4 inch wide foot, put that on, and you're going to stitch around all four sides and stitching a 1/4 inch away from the raw edge in. So here's what mine looks like. Right here, I've got it all stitched on. Now, before you put your two sides together, take your fringe and brush it with your finger so it comes in towards the center of your pillow. If your fringe is really unruly and you just can't get it to lay down so that you can stitch, you could stitch Scotch tape over it, not stitch, but lay Scotch tape over it. Even if some of the Scotch tape should get into your seam, it's easy to pull that tape out of there. So make sure it's all brushed in towards the center. Then go ahead and place pins to hold it all down. On one edge of your pillow, you want to leave an opening that's going to be large enough for you to turn it front side out. So on this particular pillow, I'm probably going to make it about the width of my hand. So I have two pins here for a reason. So you're going to start over here and back stitch, and you're doing a 1/4 inch seam, and go around to all 4 sides. And then when you come back here to the 2 pins, then you're going to stop and back stitch. One thing you want to remember, whenever you get to the corners, leave your needle down through your fabric, then lift your presser foot, turn your fabric, and continue stitching. I'm going to trim just a little bit of fabric off each corner, and that's going to help the corners kind of come out a little bit nicer. So whatever you do, don't cut into your stitch line. Try not to really cut the fringe all that much, and just cut any excess fabric off. And you just go to all 4 corners and do that. Now reach in between and go ahead and begin pulling the pillow front side out. After you've turned it front side out, you want to reach in and just poke at your corners to get them to come out as much as possible. Then take your Poly-fil stuffing, and you can buy this at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. Some Walmart sell it. You can find it at a lot of hobby stores and then also on the internet. So as you're using it, you want to pull it into smaller pieces like this, and then begin to insert it in. I usually like to go to my corners and fill in all my corners first, then make my way forward to the opening and get it all filled in like that. After you've got it all stuffed, then you want to go to your opening and fold those edges in 1/4 inch and pin them closed. And then use a ladder stitch to close up your opening. And if you're not sure how to do that, then I have a separate tutorial that's very detailed on how to do it. The stitch isn't difficult, of course, once you know how. Well, I didn't think this was too difficult. The only hard part for me was getting the fringe to stay out of the way. Other than that, this is a pretty straightforward pillow to make. Now, if you don't want to use the fringe and you don't want to do the piping, you can still piece it all together as you see all the different sections on the front. If you're interested in other pillow tutorials or other beginner sewing projects, check below your YouTube screen for those video links. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and go ahead and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.